Take a British alcoholic, a white Kenyan, a Welsh alcoholic, and a Colombian man about town, and you have the legendary tetralogy of the Sky Team. A quartet capable of winning the Tour de France 7 times in 8 consecutive years of tyranny. 4 different riders. An absolute shame that will never be repeated in the history of cycling. A crude fairy tale based on the philosophy of Dave Brailsford, the bald man with the title of Sir, who had on his payroll doping doctors like Richard Freeman or Geert Leinders, or doped managers like Bobby Julich, or doped riders like Michael Rogers. And yet he, as a powerful scourge of world cycling, knew nothing and saw nothing. All his success, about which books and documentaries and especially numerous jokes were made, were based on a single absurd principle: marginal gains. For this alopecia-stricken snake charmer, the secret to transforming car-grabbing cyclists or chubby pea-stards into Tour de France champions was small details in aerodynamics or nutrition. And simply with that wisdom, the British, at last the British, would achieve what for decades the French and Spanish and Italians or Americans had achieved with underhand methods and dirty, filthy cheats. 14 years after the beginning of this nightmare, the marginal gains era is over. This has been confirmed by John Allert, CEO of the Ineos Grenadiers team, in a vomitous interview with GCN. One in which he only had to insist that he was going to lose weight along with Dan Lloyd to make a challenge typical of these times of ridiculous YouTubers. Allert has succeeded Brailsford and insists that to reach the level of teams like Rabobank or Saunier Duval, the Sky Team must abandon the marginal gains to seek, attention, maximum gains. Who knew, right? Wise words from a guy who is laughing in the face not only of the Knight of the Realm who coached the doper David Miller more than 20 years ago, but also all those who bought into the ridiculous commandments of UK Postal. Technocrat Allert, of course, doesn't talk about drugs when he mentions the new top methods for the Ineos team. How could we think that of a team whose members didn't want to see Narito Quintana in the Giro d'Italia after his tramadol incident? Now, this guy claims that for years in the British structure they haven't been innovative enough, they haven't developed over recent years, and that they have to improve in research, development and equipment data. They have to review their strategy and change with the times, and they are going to do it, and soon. That is, for 14 years, where, in addition to winning 7 Tour de France, they've also conquered several monuments and Tours of Italy and Vuelta a España and world champions and Olympic medals. They did so without trying to achieve maximum gains. But now they're going to be disruptive and innovative at the same time to achieve the same level of success after an arduous and complicated path. Hilarious words that we have already seen, and nothing to do with drugs, nothing whatsoever. For, as you will soon see, the trajectory of John Allert is impeccable. This man, so eloquent in his words, is not just any old yuppie. He has been part, attention, as a graphic designer of the popular British company McLaren. The car manufacturer that has improved so many engines over the past 40 years, and, like that company in which the popular fictional character Barney Stinson worked, is dedicated to many other things in the business world. For example, during the Olympic Games with the most doping in history, those of London 2012, McLaren helped, technologically speaking, the always clean British athletes in the disciplines of canoeing and rowing and sailing and, of course, cycling, offering them their performance management systems designed by McLaren Applied Technologies. Possibly the same performance systems that Allert now wants to apply to the Ineos team. Systems that are infallible. After all, they got no more and no less than 31 Olympic medals for the offspring of Great Britain. And that in just 4 sports. Almost half of the medals won by the host country in the most successful Olympics for the disciples of the late Queen Elizabeth II in 100 years of Olympic history. Of course, at McLaren they do know about performance. And apart from those Olympic successes, they also decided to enter professional road cycling in 2020, with the figure of John Allert himself at the helm. This Australian was the key man for Sky's black sheep structure. The likes of Rod Ellingworth and Mikel Lander or Mark Cavendish found sponsorship in one of the biggest spawns of recent cycling, the Bahrain McLaren of the 2020 season, whose greatest success was a stage victory in the most devalued Giro d'Italia of the century, with the current B, Jan Tratnik. That was the team on which the mummy of man swore and swore he would retire that winter, and he did so in tears. But that was just months before the old alcoholic at Quick-Step resurrected him to equal Eddy Merckx in terms of Tour de France stage wins. Allert appeared on that team and once again spouted his familiar rattle of maximum wins for the team, but those wins didn't come until the following season. The season of the mythical 2021 Bahrain Victorious, where they tripled their number of wins and where Marc Padin, Matti Mohoric and Sani Colbrelli treated us to an unforgettable and as yet unexplained campaign. The problem for Allert is that when those magical cycling appearances filled our hearts, he was no longer team manager. McLaren no longer wanted anything to do with cycling. Until December 2023. Now, Dave Brailsford, some may say he's a liar. Some may say he's an egomaniac. Some may even say that he's bald. But he's not a fool. And like whenever a ship sinks, the rats are the first to flee. And along with his billionaire friend Jim Ratcliffe, the Sir went to the Manchester United of the doper Andre Onana to steer him back to a healthy life full of marginal gains. And his position as CEO at Ineos has been taken over by John Allert. So far, the team's campaign has been greatly improved, from less to more, with good results from Eganito, Carlos Rodriguez or Tom Pidcock in recent weeks. But far from the great successes of the past where they dominated the whole calendar. So far, Allert's 5 months in the post cannot be considered a runaway success. Who knows if we will see Geraint Thomas crying like the stage winner in Hungary years ago in the future. But what we do know is that as a good car company designer, the Ineos Wallaby knows a lot about engines, and we are convinced that he will know how to include the right one to allow Ineos riders to shine again, to go much, much faster, to accelerate at every corner, and to turn cycling into a circus, just like Formula One. In short, he will know how to achieve maximum gains, the gains that allow you to be as fast as Luigi's close friend, the Classicomaniac.